Good morning, everybody. Thursday, January 12th, 2023. Ask me anything for the CrossFit Linchpin private track. Great questions, ready to dive right in. A lot of really interesting questions today, some fun ones as well, and one that sadly I may have to circle back to. I couldn't, as crazy as it is, I got put on the spot. I couldn't come up with anything. Rick, good morning to you, sir. How are you? As always, it's 5:45 in the morning here. The family's asleep. I've got my cup of coffee. Sorry, but I will be sipping it during the show. It's just part of the annoying thing that I do. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first most upvoted question, this is from Forrest H. Forrest says, what's the funniest thing you have ever witnessed in a gym, CrossFit, garage, or Globo gym? I don't know if it's just too early in the morning. This one literally stumped me. It's the most upvoted one by far. I can't think of what the funniest thing is. I may have to circle back to this one. Probably, I could tell you maybe one of the funniest things, but somebody might not think it's funny and actually think it's a terrible thing to say out loud, but it happened to me. And I wasn't injured, really, and so maybe that makes it okay. But way back in the day, working out in my garage in Virginia Beach with a buddy of mine, I think where I was going for a max set of kipping pull-ups or something like that, and we had fashioned this pull-up bar in the garage that would not meet any safety standards that you would want a pull-up bar to have. You know, we just went to Home Depot, bought some materials. The pull-up bar, it wasn't solid, it rotated, and so that in and of itself, a rotating pull-up bar, I guess would be great for developing grip strength, but it's not ideal for kipping pull-ups, as you could imagine, when you're putting some oomph behind things. And the thickness of the bar, we weren't quite sure what would be a good thickness to get, was way too thick. So you could barely get your hand around it, and it rotated. And this was in my garage. There was nothing on the floor, no rubber mats, no nothing, just concrete floor. And I was full of ego, as was my buddy, just going for this max set. And I'm sure that I felt myself getting near the limits of my capacity. Sure that I felt myself getting tired, sure that I felt my grip going a little bit, you know, when the last few reps were really tough. But I didn't care. I just continued to try to kip really hard and get a couple more to have a good set to brag to my friends about. And as everyone could probably imagine where the story is going, as I tried to get my, a violent kip and my chin over the bar, the grip let go. I was now, whatever it was, 4 or 5 feet off the ground. Not connected to the pull-up bar, parallel to the concrete floor, and I fell like you threw a dead cow on the floor, just like a slab of beef on the ground. It made a disgusting sound as my body hit the concrete. Luckily, I tucked my chin and didn't crack my head on the concrete floor, but I hit the floor so hard that all the air just evacuated out of my lungs. My soul left my body a little bit as well. And I couldn't do anything but just lay there for a while as like your body does one of those internal assessments when you get like a significant hit to make sure that, are you okay? Is this going to be a trip to the hospital or whatnot? And then, this may not make sense to a lot of people. Some special segments of society will get it. But then, this is a buddy who I was in the military with. Then in a situation like this, you can always expect from a good buddy that you served in the military with, when something like this happens to you, his first response was not to come over to me. It was not to ask me if I was okay. All I could hear after I hit the ground was him doubled over, belly laughing, uncontrollably belly laughing, tears coming out of his eyes because of the significant hit that I just took. Absolutely made his day. And had the situation been reversed, I probably would have done the same thing. So that was, walked away just with a pride injured. So that might be a good one on the list there. Okay, I don't recommend anybody do that. Next most upvoted one. Ooh, okay, this was in the BTWB squads feature. And this goes upvoted, most upvoted by far. This was my attitude on the CrossFit Games versus real life. That's an oversimplification of the question, but I'll read it right now. Let's see. Okay, here we go. This is from Ben P. I've been rewatching some of the old CrossFit Games documentaries. You were on all of them as a commentator or talking head analyst. It seems like the way you spoke about CrossFit back then is quite different than how you talk about it now. You seem to really be into the all-out, go-to-the-dark place, pukey, elite-level competition stuff. Now, at least in the Linchpin world, you seem to be about all that and much more passionate about sustainable fitness for everyday people. Is this assessment accurate? If so, what changed in your thinking regarding CrossFit and fitness, and when did it change? Great question, and everybody obviously loved it. The second most upvoted one. So, well, I guess I can answer real quick. Near the end, you asked, is this assessment accurate? Not really. Not really. I think it might be well, I'll answer, maybe that'll help you out a little bit. So, not much actually has changed regarding how I was on camera during those documentaries and now. Believe it or not, even back then when I was a full-time games analyst, I didn't really follow the games that closely when I didn't have to. I was kind of about it. I was actually kind of about it back then. But don't get me wrong, when I was a commentator and analyst, I did my research, I did my preparation, I did my interviews so that I would be competent, professional, and knowledgeable and all that good stuff when the camera clicked on. But some people, teach their own, ate and slept the games. Like, they were just all in. And that was never me. I was never all in. It was something I did for my job, and I tried to do it very well, and I tried to be competent in it. But I was not a games fanatic, that's for darn sure. If somebody told me tomorrow that the CrossFit Games would never happen again, I wouldn't care. I couldn't care at all. Couldn't care less, quite frankly. But that's me. I think I'm an oddball like that. I think that's just kind of how I am. That's not just with the CrossFit Games, but I'm weird because that's how I am with sports in general. And I don't know why. I've always have been. If somebody also told me that effective immediately, the NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey, and basketball would never exist again, I really couldn't care less. There's no impact on my life at all. I know that I am an outlier in that. I was a fan when I was back in those documentaries that you watched and whatnot. I was a fan of, and I expressed it in those documentaries, and I am still a fan of intensity and effort. And to this day, I very much enjoy seeing intensity and effort, be it from a games athlete, a regular athlete, garage gym individual, whatever it happens to be. That remains true then, that remains true now, and I expressed that whenever I had the opportunity on camera. So, I did really enjoy when those games athletes had to go to a dark place and burn it down. Loved it. And I still do, but I would love seeing a regular individual sell their soul on Fran or a 400-meter run or something like that. I do enjoy that. When people flip that switch and go there, really, really, really like that 100%. When you'd see the games athletes after a heavy lift, the crowd loves a heavy lift, snatch ladder, deadlift ladder, all that stuff. It's fantastic, good, it's great. And that's cool, it's cool. But for me personally, it's compared to an event that probably involves some sort of conditioning and skyrocketing heart rate and dance with the devil. That's what I like. When the event ends and the athlete crosses the line and they are just a useless puddle of goo laying on the ground, non-ambulatory, hyperventilating, can't speak or communicate, eyes are pinched shut and they're rolling around wondering what the heck just happened. I like that. I like that a lot, And that usually comes from I'm a fan of intensity and effort. And usually if you're going to get that response out of somebody, you didn't overload them with weight. You didn't make something too much. You actually, the event was maybe almost a bit understated, and that allowed them to really go there. That's what I've liked then. That's what I like to this day. When most games athletes see an event and they're like, oh, sweet, cool event, that's probably not one that I like, because that's probably not one that's going to leave them hyperventilating like a puddle of goo. When the games athletes or any athlete sees an event or a workout and they're like, oh no, ugh, that looks like a trap, yuck, that's the one I like. That makes me have a wonderful devilish grin on my face. And to this day, that's the stuff that I like. So, yeah. But even back then, although that was my job, my passion was always real people, real fitness, and all that. But that wouldn't make for an interesting soundbite during a documentary. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Next one from. Hold on, I'm scrolling. A lot of comments here. I'm scrolling, trying to find what. Okay. JSA, here we go. Besides the Varied Not Random and Linchpin Conversations podcast, what are some other resources you think are useful for athletes, particularly coaches, to pay attention to? Excellent question. So, I have an easy one that leaps to my mind, and I don't want to give you 16. No one's going to listen to 16. I'm going to give you one, and that would be The Consistency Project by E.C. Sinkowski. I say this all the time, and I say it for a reason, because it's true, and because there's also a lot of fluff and garbage in the world. And so when you find something that isn't fluff, isn't marketing, doesn't have a hidden agenda, isn't trying to keep their sponsors happy, that's a jewel of truth. And The Consistency Project with EC is very much that. She also runs Optimize Me Nutrition. She's got the 800-gram challenge, and I'm in no way, shape, or form linked to or compensated or incentivized to push her show. I just do it because I think it's fantastic. Truth, no fluff. She's smart about what she does. She knows the science. She's one of the few people that actually reads the studies, which nobody does. Nobody reads the studies. They just go on Instagram and go, oh, this games athlete uses this product. It must be good. No, they're compensated. Oh, games athletes like these shoes. They must be great. No, they're compensated. Use this supplement, blah, 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 fill in the blank with whatever it is. Don't get me wrong. I understand people got to make a living. I'm not, don't get me wrong. You got to pay your rent. And ideally, if you are sponsored by a shoe company, a clothing line, or whatever it is, in an ideal world, it would not only provide you with a nice paycheck and a nice living so that your kids can go to school and you can pay your mortgage, but it would also be a product or an item that's actually really good and works well and does what it says it would do. That's cool, great, fantastic. I got no drama with that in any way, shape, or form. Push something that's actually true and real and works, and when people swipe their Visa card, you're not selling them a fraud. I got no drama with that at all. Sponsor yourself away, all good. So, let's see. I lost my place. Okay, so she primarily talks nutrition, but she's got a ton of great episodes on a whole variety of topics. And what's also great is she tells the truth. Sometimes the truth is in contrast to what people want to hear. As a matter of fact, it very often is. And she doesn't care in the fact that she'll just say whatever the truth is. Some of her episodes that are excellent, I'll give a few recommendations right now that might ruffle some feathers, but if your feathers get ruffled, just pause for a sec and realize that if it's the truth and it does ruffle your feathers, well, I mean, okay, it may make you uncomfortable or upset because you bought something that maybe now doesn't work as well as you think, but isn't it good to actually know the truth? And so here's a couple episodes, 3 episodes I think everybody should listen to. Okay, here we go. This is a 2-part episode, but it's on recovery trackers. People love to track their recovery to an absurd degree, I would say. They become recovery experts. We're trying to become fitness experts. I know that the two are linked, so don't snipe that little part and act like I don't understand that recovery is important to fitness. But on recovery trackers, long story short, I won't give away the whole episode, but they're not what they're cracked up to be in large part. Some really great marketing, some really great people representing them, actually not fully cracked up to what they are purported to be. So if you want to actually listen to the episodes on that, then the first one is called On Measuring Recovery to Optimize Performance. That is Season 1, Episode 62. So, Season 1, Episode 62. Then the follow-up to that is entitled On How to Predict Optimal Performance. That is Season 1, Episode 65. So a few episodes went by or between those two. Season 1, Episode 62. Season 1, Episode 65. That's on recovery tracking tools, things of that nature, what's actually important and what you should truly focus on. Not to be the bearer of, bad news, but enjoy those. And then this was one that is relatively new. I listened to it the other day. It is excellent. This next one is Season 2, Episode 24. And it is about ice baths. Oh yeah, ice baths. And an oversimplification that I'll give. This is an oversimplification, so again, don't run away with this and say that this is all encompassing. You have to listen to the episode. But ice baths are a great way not to increase your performance. Yep. Sorry. That's what it seems to be. Now, again, that's an oversimplification, but hopefully it entices you enough to listen to the episode. It was a very, very interesting, educational, and informative episode. So, that's why I like it. Great episode, great podcast. She seeks the truth, and there's a lot of recurring themes there, which we echo a lot here at Linchpin, which is the basics work. Whether it's with nutrition, whether it's with getting fit, the basics work. A lot of people are going to try to, instead of just eating really clean, wonderful food in appropriate portions, they're going to get some crazy test done on their body or get a whole bulk of supplements in that are going to do this. Most people, again, people have interesting conditions. I'm not downplaying that, but I'm here to tell you the overwhelming majority of people probably just need to eat higher quality food in appropriate portions and wonderful things would happen. Most people with regards to fitness don't need to do something overly complicated they just need to do good, solid, compound lifts, laid out programming and stick to it. You got to stick to it. You got to be consistent. Showing up every day is actually what matters. That pays off. Doing the fundamentals and doing them well over and over and over again and not getting distracted. Consistency. It's probably a reason why her podcast is called The Consistency Project. Right? It's again, the basics are boring, but guess what? The basics work really, 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 really well. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. Getting fit is easy. Eating well is easy. Not simple. It's easy. People are hard. People are difficult. Finding a way to connect with people so they'll actually do the darn thing that works. That's the challenging part. It's not that hard to figure out what works. The challenging part is getting everybody to stick with what works so that the thing actually can do what it's supposed to do. And that actually to some degree is related to what we spoke about, maybe it's in the last episode of Linchpin Conversations, the power of community. That ideally you find yourself surrounded by a group of like-minded individuals that when you are having a low point in your life, not feeling that bit of motivation, not feeling dedicated or fired up, whatever it is, will help pick you up and gently push you in the right direction so that the thing can actually work and then you can benefit from it. And that's why Linchpin is not just in what I strive for it to be, which is, my goal is for it to be the most beautiful and effective minimalist program on the face of the earth, but it's a community. And that community, in all honesty, that's the secret weapon of Linchpin. It really is. Because the programming doesn't work if nobody does it. You have to get people to do it and to enjoy it and to want to do it. Then all of a sudden, what happens? All the stories come up about, this is amazing, I'm getting PRs, look at this happened. It's because you're doing the thing. And the key part of doing the thing is not only do you have to do the right thing, but you have to be consistent with it. And consistent comes from support, and support in large part comes from community. And that's why being a part of a community, whether it's Linchpin or somebody else, find your community. And that's going to be a critical part in you having success, whether it's with your diet, with your fitness, whatever it happens to be. So that's my answer to that one. Okay, next one, a little bit of a fun one from Joshua J. Let's see here. Okay, one more quick sip of coffee. My apologies. Okay, Joshua J. Coach, have you ever grown out your beard? The heavy 5 o'clock shadow has me curious. It must be impressive. Follow-up question. Are there any friendly kinds of fitness bets we could wager that would result in you growing out your beard? So the beard's probably not going to get grown out anytime in the foreseeable future because my wife can't stand the beard or facial hair. And we've all heard the phrase, happy wife, happy life. And that, to some degree, rings true. So the beard's probably not going to get grown out. Have I grown it out before? Yeah, a couple times. I did during the 3-2-1 Go South series, which took place back in 2013. Myself and Ian Wittenberg rode motorcycles from Montana down to the bottom of South America. 12,500 miles, 4 months of riding, popped into all kinds of CrossFit gyms in people's homes across Central and South America. It was absolutely fantastic. One of the most impactful experiences of my life. And yeah, for some segments of that I had a beard, or at least I let my beard grow out. It didn't have like, a Gandalf beard or whatnot. And then the other time that I had when I had probably the largest beard of my life, that was in days gone by. Days gone by, probably back in 2005-ish time frame when I had just gotten out of the SEALs at that point in time, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my life. I was kind of drifting a little bit. I had a skill set that I didn't know where I would apply it to in the world, and so there was some unrest in the world at that time, and so I did some work for a little government agency overseas, and I grew out my hair and my beard during that time, and there's 1 or 2 photos from that 2 or 3 year stint of my life that I have quite a scraggly beard during that, but it was useful to do that occupation. So yeah, so that was that. All right, next most upvoted question. Okay, this is a good one. Let's see. Nasos, where are we here? Let's see. Sorry, I'm scrolling. Okay, here we go. How do you escape from the fear of going heavy again? 2 years ago, I had a 1 rep max deadlift of 200 kilograms, but after an injury last year, I'm afraid to go heavy again. Tips and trips to escape that fear. Great question. And by the way, that fear, it's very real. I mean, let's assume for a second that your body is fully recovered and healed. Doesn't mean that your mind is between the ears, and that's no joke. So we've got to somehow connect the mind and the body back together to get you where you need to be. So I had that fear a couple times in my life. I had umbilical hernia surgery. It's probably longer ago than I realized. Let's say it was 4 or 5 years ago, where they put, a piece of mesh, like a metal mesh, in right under my belly button, and that was it was a difficult one to come back from. Not difficult meaning that the physical therapy or whatever was overly complicated, but difficult meaning between the ears, because I separated my AC joint in a motorcycle wreck, and that took several months to come back from as well. But that was much easier because I had my arm in a sling, and I would just do one arm stuff, or I could do air squats. Like, I could do a whole bunch of other activities, and I knew for a fact that I wasn't using my arm that was injured or recovering, so who cares? It was fine. And then I slowly brought the arm back. But with the umbilical hernia, every single thing that you do uses your midline. Everything. And from an air squat to a light deadlift to pull-ups to, a push-up, you name it, you can't not brace your midline. And so when I came back from that, even when I took my time. I knew I shouldn't be an idiot. Even though I wanted to rush back, I knew that would be a terrible long-term decision, that I could rush back to 75% for the rest of my life, or I could truly take my time in recovering. It would take longer because I'd have to be patient, but then I could be at 100% forever. And I was like, well, I know that's the better thing to do, so I won't rush, and I'll actually come back and be at 100% forever. So I did that, and when the time came and all the medical professionals were like, yep, you did it, good to go, you are cleared hot, you can ease yourself back into lifting and all that, it's fully healed, everything is adhered to one another, you're solid. I still had this inner feeling of like, oh, I don't want that to happen again. Every time that I would brace, I'd be like, is this weight a little bit too heavy? And for me personally, everybody's journey might be a little bit different. It was just a crawl, walk, run approach of slowly building confidence. As soon as I got the green light, I didn't launch back into a 7x1 back squat the next day. And if a 7x1 back squat happened to have been programmed, well, then all I would have done on that day is I would have squatted relatively heavy, but nowhere near my 1 rep max. I would have done whatever was appropriate for that point in time in my rehab. So maybe, I would have done some light sets at 135 on my back, and I would have done, 5 sets of 8 at 135, just light back squats. But after not having touched anything for squatting for a long period of time, that would have been, even though it would have been quote unquote heavy, it certainly would have dosed up my lower body, I'm here to tell you. And that would have, gained a little bit of confidence. Okay, my legs are really sore. My midline's sore in a good way. Where the mesh is in my abdominal feels great. And then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. Gentle, 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 that crawl, walk, run. That's what helped me get back to where I needed to be. I did not rush. I didn't care about my old numbers, as challenging as that is. It's a new day, and everything is going to be a new adventure. And so that's what I want to encourage you to do, is throw those old numbers out the window to some degree, you know what they are, but gently ease your way back, and then realize, ask yourself, did you truly do the rehab and the recovery and take the time? Or did you shortchange it? If you shortchanged it, then you have reason to be a bit nervous, reason to be a bit apprehensive. If you didn't, and you really did what you needed to do, well, then your body, ideally, is actually healed. Now it's the mind portion that we need to deal with, and that's when just easing back in can be very helpful. And here's another thing that I would recommend. So, your previous 1 rep max deadlift, fantastic deadlift, 400 kilograms, which is 440 pounds of weight, great deadlift. Realize, as wonderful as it would be to lift that again, you can get really, really fit and really strong and have a great amount of fantastic training sessions operating at a lower percentage of that 1 rep max, and you will never notice it in real life if you never touch that 1 rep again. Okay, now ideally you will, right? Ideally you will, but let's just say, going off of your numbers, you are only comfortable operating at 80% of that. You get really freaked out when you get close to 440 pounds or 400 kilograms, so 80%. Beyond that, you're like, makes me feel weird again. Well, 80% is 160 kilograms on the bar, 352 pounds. I'm here to tell you, based upon your numbers, if you were only comfortable for the rest of your life at 80% of your 1 rep max, 160 kilos, 352 pounds, and you did, instead of doing 1 rep max deadlifts, because that is a lighter load, relatively speaking, you did 5x5 deadlifts and things like that, sets of 7 or something, you would be a strong, fit, capable beast that would not face anything in the real world you were not more than adequately prepared for. You would be fine. And you could play that game at an even lower percentage. If 80% was too much and you're like, 70%, that's mentally what I get freaked out beyond 70%. Okay, that's 308 pounds or 140 kilograms. You can do higher sets of deadlifts with that loading again, and you will be ferocious. And the ideal path is that you're operating at 60%, 70%, or 80%, giving yourself some time and patience, and realizing that you feel good doing that, and you feel safe, and you feel strong, and you feel capable, and you feel appropriately sore, and you never compromise your form or technique. And then from there, you can slowly build. Give yourself the time that you need, but also realize you could operate at those lower percentages forever and be an animal, an absolute animal. So that's that. Okay, one final one, and then I'll just give a quick preview of Linchpin Test 5, that challenge, because it's coming up quickly, next weekend, I think, as a matter of fact. And then we'll get out of here. Everybody can have breakfast. This last one is from Colin J, and I really like this question too. Luckily, it was good and upvoted. Here we go. All right, Colin J. As a 42-year-old never looking to compete, will I be at a severe detriment if I never do a barbell snatch ever again? I hurt myself, not with a heavy load, for the second time in my life, and I'm going to shelve that movement for the duration and go with dumbbell snatches whenever they're programmed. What an awesome question. So I'll give you my short answer. If you never do a barbell snatch again in your life, will that be detrimental? No, it will not. You will be perfectly fine. You will be absolutely fit, and you will be great. Especially, like you said, if dumbbell snatches treat you well, good on you. And I'm largely in that same boat as well. I've been very open and honest that I've got terrible shoulders, nothing from CrossFit, from military accidents and motorcycle wrecks that really I did a pretty terrible number to myself. And my overhead is really hit or miss. More miss than hit, quite frankly. And so I do a tremendous amount of scaling and modifying when things go overhead. Heavy snatches are not my friend. And when that comes up, I'm most likely going to grab the dumbbells. And they are fantastic, and they will get you so fit that you'll be great in regular life. You'll be totally fine. So short answer is no. And as a matter of fact, Bosman and I have done a couple varied, not random episodes on something similar to this. And I actually think one of the episodes, the title is something along the lines of no muscle ups, no snatching, no handstand push-ups. Is it still CrossFit? And I think you'd really benefit from searching for that episode and finding that, because we do a whole episode on just that topic. But I'll let the cat out of the bag. Yes, it's still CrossFit. So snatching is phenomenal. That's why it's included in the program. You know, we don't include anything in the program just because it's popular. We include things in the program because they're effective. That's the criteria. And it's a profoundly complicated lift from the central nervous system perspective of, coordination, accuracy, agility, and balance. A lot of benefit there. It's an explosive hip opening. It gets you below parallel. It gets you overhead. It's fantastic. But there are ways that we can hit those markers without snatching. You can do other things that have to include your body and your brain intertaxing on the central nervous system that are a thinking individual's lift. There's plenty of other of those out there. You can go overhead doing other things. You can go below parallel doing other things. You can develop explosive hip drive doing other things. Even something just as, all things considered, if we're talking about complexity, a kettlebell swing is far, while it does involve technique, it's far less complicated than a barbell snatch. And it will probably treat most people's bodies better. Now, I only understand it doesn't get you below parallel, but I'm talking about midline stabilization, hip drive, developing some posterior chain strength. You just swing a kettlebell for the rest of your life and then make sure you're going below parallel too. You can go overhead in some other directions. You're going to be great. So if at any point in your fitness journey, any particular movement, you get to that point in your journey that you have to put it on the shelf, that's okay. Now what you should do is look at that movement, figure out what were the benefits of that movement, what did it add to my fitness, and am I still able to largely capture the benefits of that movement through some other method? And the answer will probably be yes. My wife is a very former competitive CrossFit athlete. She's at the point now in her fitness journey, she does not do kipping handstand push-ups. They don't feel good on her. They feel bad. And so that movement is on the shelf. That's fine. She does them strict. There are other things that are just on the shelf. That's okay. That's probably going to happen to most of us at different times. You'll be good to go. So the short answer to your question is, not only will you be fine, you'll be more than fine. You'll be good to go. Okay, so fantastic questions. Awesome. Great way to start the day. And then real quick, every month we're doing a Linchpin challenge, making our way through all the challenges. If you're unfamiliar with what the challenges are, you can go to CrossFit Linchpin's website, tap on workouts, I want to say, and then tests, Linchpin tests, and all 14 of the tests are there. And we're doing one test a month as a challenge series. That's probably a better way for me to say it. And we are going to find ourselves this month in January on test 5. Test 5 is a beast. Test 5, as prescribed, is for time 20 back squats, 2-mile run, 20 back squats. Couldn't be simpler. The back squat loading is 225 pounds for men, 155 pounds for women. There you go. Enjoy. This is a fun event, so you don't have to videotape yourself. You just sign up, submit your score, see where you shake out on the leaderboard, and have a blast. You can do it absolutely for free. Just do what I said there, submit your score, and have a blast. If you want to get a cool little piece of swag, well, then you got to sign up. And let me see here. I always forget to have this ready. There's a t-shirt every month. You can always get a black one. This month's color is a nice, is it a forest green? I don't know what color green this is, but a cool color green. And usually, under the Linchpin, it says effective, not popular. But for test 5, it says lift heavy, run fast. And so it'll be a cool shirt. On the back will be all the names of everybody who did it. And then also this month is a sticker pack. Because who's kidding who? Stickers aren't just for kids. Adults love stickers. Put them on everything. We've got, I think the sticker pack will have good old orange Linchpin, the camo Linchpin, and then a sticker, I know this is a reverse image in my phone, that says lift heavy, run fast, and running is stupid, but it works. And you'll get 2 of those. So 2 of those, and 1 of each of these deals. So that'll be the cool thing that you'll be able to get. And let me see if I can. Let's see. So here are some rough times from beyond the whiteboard, just so you know how long this workout generally takes. If you are like one of the most amazing people in the world at it, 90th percentile, that means you're top 10% in the whole world, it's around 19 minutes and 30 seconds. And then it can take, anywhere from that to about 26 minutes. So probably anywhere from 19 to 26 minutes is what it takes a lot of people. The challenge is going to be for score submission. It goes live Friday, January 20th and ends Monday, January 23rd. So January 20th to the 23rd, Friday to Monday. That's when the competition window is open and you can submit your scores. And registration will open on the Monday prior to that, Monday, January 16th. So I'm going to make a video about it probably over the weekend, post it on Monday. It'll have all the good links and you'll be solid. Now, I understand that that's a heavy back squat for a lot of people, and maybe you can't do a 2-mile run where you are because there's 4 feet of snow on the ground. So we got you covered. There's going to be that option, which I guess you could call the prescribed option. Then there'll be a wild card, a scaled, and a dumbbell. And let's see here. Okay, I've got it here. For the wild card option, the 2-mile run remains, but the back squat loading goes down to 185 for men, 135 for women. For the scaled option, we knock down the volume of squatting, the loading, and the run distance. So the scaled option will be, for time, 15 back squats at 135 for men, 95 for women, a 1-mile run, and then 15 more back squats. That'll be the scaled option. And then the dumbbell option assumes a pair of 50-pound dumbbells for men, a pair of 35-pound dumbbells for women, and that is 40, that's 40 dumbbell squats, 2-mile run, 40 dumbbell squats. It's going to be a really good time. And then just things in general, which will be part of the challenge, and they'll be posted there, you can see it. Where's my things that I have here? I'll give ways to replicate. So if you can't run and you just want to mimic that distance on an air bike or Concept 2 row or something like that, you will have that option. So if you want to swap out the run for a bike or a row, I'll give those distances as part of the challenge description, and that way you can do it, never have to leave your garage if it's snowing outside and things like that. So that's about that. I think that covers all of our bases for today. And like I said, I'll make a standalone video about the Test 5 challenge and post that probably this coming Monday, because that's when registration should go live. So that's it. Enjoy your Thursday. Thanks for being awesome, and we'll talk again soon.